She moved in with one question: how do humans breed? Josh had always lived alone. Quiet apartment, simple life. Wake up, college, part-time job, sleep, repeat. But everything changed the day she arrived. Her name was Valaya. She was an alien, tall, silver-skinned, glowing blue eyes. Her voice was calm, her walk smooth, and her behavior very strange. The Galactic Student Exchange Program had just opened, allowing one alien to live with a human host. Josh had signed up mostly as a joke. He never thought they'd actually pick him. But 2 weeks later, Valaya was standing at his door with one small bag, one translator chip, and one very serious face. "I am Valaya of the 6th moon of Revexa," she said, blinking slowly. "You will be my mate, temporarily. I have come to understand your ways." Josh nearly dropped his coffee. "Wait, mate? I mean roommate," she corrected herself. "Language glitch, sorry." Josh laughed nervously and moved aside to let her in. She walked in slowly, scanning the apartment. Her eyes lingered on the couch, the sink, the bathroom door. Then she turned to him. "I will study your species closely. I must learn fast. My deadline is strict, and there is one thing I must know above all." Josh tilted his head. "What's that?" Valaya stepped closer. "How do humans breed?" Josh blinked. His brain stopped working for a second. "Excuse me?" "Breed," she said seriously. "Reproduction method, I must understand. It is my main assignment." Josh coughed and turned red. "Wait, like, now?" "I am open to scheduling," Valaya said, taking out a small device. "Shall we begin after dinner?" Josh waved his hands quickly. "No, I mean, wait. That's not how this works." Valaya looked confused. "Then explain." Josh rubbed the back of his neck. "Okay, look. Breeding or reproduction, that's private. It's not something humans just do with anyone. It involves feelings, trust, love sometimes." Valaya nodded slowly, as if noting every word. "So humans require emotional preparation?" "Yes," Josh said, relieved. "Exactly." She paused, then asked calmly, "What stage are we in now?" Josh nearly fainted. The next few hours were chaos. Valaya asked questions non-stop. Why do humans kiss? Why do you need music and candles before mating? Is it true humans bond by sharing food first? At one point, she pulled out a scanner and tried to measure his hormone levels while he was brushing his teeth. Josh was patient, at first, but by the time she asked to inspect his underwear drawer for cultural analysis, he had to draw a line. "Valaya," he said. "Let's take it slow." She paused. "Slow, meaning reduced speed?" "Exactly." That night, Valaya set up her bed right next to his. We have 2 rooms," Josh said. "Yes," she replied. "But I must observe you at night. Body changes, breathing patterns, possible subconscious mating signals." Josh groaned and threw his blanket over his head. At 2:14 a.m., Josh woke up with a jolt. Valaya was kneeling beside him, hand on his chest. "Your heart rate is high," she whispered. "I think you're dreaming of reproduction." "Valaya," he shouted. She blinked. "Apologies. I thought it was helpful." Josh sat up, rubbing his temples. "Look, you can't just touch people while they sleep. But you are my subject of study. I'm a person, not a science project." There was a long silence. Valaya looked down, then slowly stood. "Understood. I will create boundaries." "I am sorry, Josh." Josh looked at her, her face suddenly softer. Not cold, not robotic. She looked unsure, maybe even embarrassed. He sighed. "It's okay. You're learning." Valaya looked at him. "Then you will still help me?" Josh paused. He nodded. "Yes, I'll help you learn, but on one condition." "What?" "No touching while I sleep." Valaya gave a small smile. "Agreed." The next morning, Josh found Valaya watching a romantic movie. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor, head tilted, eyes glued to the screen. This is strange, she said. What is? The human male gave the female flowers. He said he loved her. Then, they touched lips. It made her cry. That's kissing, Josh explained. Why cry? Was it painful? Josh laughed. No. It was emotional. That's what love feels like sometimes. Valaya stared at the screen, then turned to Josh. Will you show me? Josh froze. Show you what? How humans kiss. He swallowed, hard. Valaya? Yes? You sure this is for science? She tilted her head again. I'm not sure anymore. Josh had survived the first day with his alien roommate, Valaya, but just barely. She was unlike any person he had ever met. Beautiful in a strange way, tall and glowing slightly under the lights, but with the social skills of a cold scientist. Her goal was clear: understand human reproduction, and unfortunately for Josh, he was her subject. The next morning started awkwardly. Valaya stood in front of the kitchen holding a frying pan like it was a weapon. Do humans fry eggs before mating? Josh choked on his juice. What? No, I just like eggs, she blinked. Noted. He sighed, walking past her, trying to pretend everything was normal. But it wasn't. Ever since she had asked him to show her how humans breed, Josh hadn't slept well. Her eyes followed him like scanners, her body language robotic, but something about her questions, her closeness, made him feel nervous. And that's when it began, Valaya's first test. She called it touch without reaction. Without warning, she sat beside Josh on the couch, closer than normal. Their knees touched slightly. Josh froze. She leaned in, pretending to look at the TV. Is this acceptable human distance? Not really, Josh muttered. I see. Do you feel tingles? Josh's face turned red. What? No, of course not. But he was lying, and Valaya knew it. She gave a slight smirk. I believe you are not being honest, Josh. He stood up quickly and moved to the kitchen. Look, Valaya, I said I'll help you, but this isn't how it works. She followed, still calm. My species uses physical proximity to test attraction. If your body reacts, it means you are compatible. This is science. Josh shook his head. Humans don't work like that. We need time, emotions. She paused. So what you're saying is, I must touch you slowly? He dropped the spoon in his hand. No, that's not what I meant. But Valaya didn't stop. That night she sat close again during a movie. This time her head rested lightly on his shoulder. Josh tried to stay still. He clenched his fists, focused on the TV, tried not to smell the strange but sweet scent of her skin, but his heart pounded in his chest like a drum. Valaya turned her face slightly toward his. Your pulse is faster. Josh closed his eyes. I'm fine. She placed her fingers gently on his arm. You're very warm. I believe this confirms stimulation. Valaya, you can't just say that stuff. I must record it. She picked up her tiny glowing device and began typing. Josh covered his face. This is insane. But deep inside, he didn't feel like running. There was something about her curiosity, so blunt, so innocent, that made him want to protect her, even while she confused the hell out of him. Later that night, as he lay in bed trying to sleep, he heard soft footsteps. Valaya entered his room. Again. Valaya, he said, already tired. We talked about this. I know, she whispered, walking closer. No touching, but may I ask one question? Josh turned on the lamp. Go ahead. Why do humans fear physical desire? In my species, we embrace it without shame. He sat up slowly. It's not about fear, it's just different. For us, real connection matters, not just bodies. She looked down. So, you don't want me? Josh blinked. That wasn't what he expected. Her voice wasn't robotic this time. It was soft, almost uncertain. Didn't say that, he said. Valaya looked at him again, and for the first time she seemed vulnerable. If I fail this study, I'll be sent back. They will remove me from the breeding program. I'll never be able to choose my own partner. They'll assign me someone. Josh swallowed. Someone you don't love? She nodded. He sighed. Then maybe we should take this seriously, but not like a lab test. Let's try it the human way. She tilted her head. You will guide me? I'll help you learn, he said. But only if you promise to stop scanning me in my sleep. She smiled softly. Agreed. The next morning was different. Valaya made pancakes. Well, tried to. Most were burned, and one somehow melted the pan. But she wore an apron and looked proud. Josh laughed, and for the first time she laughed too. Not a data-recorded giggle, but a real, joyful laugh. She sat beside him again, but this time didn't test anything. She just ate with him. And when he looked at her face, he saw something new. She wasn't just curious. She was changing. The apartment looked like a science lab. Josh stepped into the living room and froze. His couch was covered in blinking alien devices. His dining table was gone, replaced with a glowing blue screen that showed his heart rate. And in the center of it all stood Valaya, holding a strange scanner aimed directly at him. What happened to my place? Josh asked, eyes wide. Valaya didn't even blink. Biology class has begun. You are the subject. Josh rubbed his face. I thought we agreed to take it slow. We are, she replied. This is slow for me. She pressed a button. A projection of Josh's face appeared, spinning in midair with notes scribbled in her language. Beneath it was a strange graph showing hormone levels. Josh's, apparently. Josh walked over and pointed to it. What is this supposed to be? Emotional spikes, Valaya said, caused by close contact and eye locks. I noticed your levels increase each time I touch your hand or lean closer. Josh stepped back. Valaya, you can't just track that stuff. She stared at him. But it's necessary. I must understand not just the body, but the feelings that come with it. Josh sighed and sat on the armrest of the couch. There's more to people than numbers and graphs, you know. She walked closer and sat across from him. Then teach me. If there's something I'm missing, show me. He looked at her for a long moment. Fine, but let's do this the human way today. Josh took Valaya on a field trip, to a park. She wore sunglasses to hide her glowing eyes and a hoodie to cover her shimmering skin. Josh handed her an ice cream cone. What is this? She asked. A test, he grinned. Take a bite. She did, and immediately gasped. It's cold. He laughed. Yeah, it's supposed to be. That's the joy. Pain is joy? No, it's fun because it's sweet and cold at the same time. Valaya looked at the other people in the park. Kids laughing, couples holding hands, humans just living. This is what love feels like? She asked. No, Josh said gently. But it's what it grows in. Time, trust, shared moments. This is where feelings begin. Valaya sat on a bench and watched an old couple walk by, holding hands. She tilted her head. They've bred? Josh chuckled. Maybe a long time ago. Now they just love each other. She stared for a while. No mating, no research, just closeness? Exactly. That night, back in the apartment, Valaya was quiet. She didn't touch him. She didn't scan him. She just sat on the floor, flipping through the human romance books Josh had given her. Then suddenly she asked, Do you ever feel alone, Josh? He was surprised. Sometimes. I never did. On Revexa, we live by purpose, no time for feelings. But now, when you leave the room, I feel empty. Josh looked at her carefully. That's not science, Valaya. She nodded. I know. There was a long silence. Then she stood up, walked over, and sat beside him. Today I didn't want to scan you. I just wanted to be near you. Josh's heart beat faster. He turned his head, and their eyes met. She didn't blink this time. I think, she whispered. You are affecting my data, he smiled gently, and you're affecting mine. But just as things grew quiet between them, the front door buzzed. Josh opened it and instantly regretted it. A tall alien woman stood in the doorway, dressed in sleek silver armor, her eyes glowing with power. Valaya of Revexa, she said, coldly. You are summoned. Valaya stood slowly. Elder Salna. Josh looked back and forth. What's going on? Salna stepped in. This human is interfering with our mission. Valaya, return now. Or face removal from the genetic learning program. Valaya's voice was steady. I have not finished. Salna glared. Then finish fast, or I will report that you have compromised yourself. You've grown attached to the subject. Josh spoke up. She's not compromised. She's learning like she's supposed to. Salna stared at him. You, speak boldly. For a test subject. Valaya stepped forward, shielding Josh slightly. He is more than that. Salna narrowed her eyes. Then you already know the consequences. Without another word, she turned and left. The door closed. Josh stood frozen. Valaya, what did she mean by consequences? Valaya's eyes looked heavy. If I fall in love with you, they will erase me. Valaya didn't speak much that night. After the visit from Elder Salna, she sat by the window staring at the stars like they were pulling her away. The soft blue glow on her skin looked dimmer than usual. Josh stood in the kitchen, trying to cook something, anything to distract himself, but his hands trembled. She said they'll erase you, he finally whispered. What does that mean, Valaya? Valaya turned her head slowly. My memories, my growth, my time here, everything. They will remove it. It will be like I never met you. Josh felt a heavy weight press into his chest. But that's not fair. You're not doing anything wrong. She gave a sad smile. To them, forming emotional bonds with a human is a sign of failure. I was sent to observe, not to feel. Josh walked over and sat beside her. Then maybe you shouldn't go back. Valaya looked at him. If I stay, I'll be hunted. Then let's run. Her eyes widened. Run? Yeah, he said, firmly. We'll disappear, hide somewhere. Earth's big enough. Or maybe, we go off-world. There are places even the Galactic Council can't reach. Valaya blinked. You would leave everything? Your life? Your world? For me? Josh looked at her, really looked at her. I think I already did. The moment you asked me how humans breed, and made me feel something I never felt before. Valaya reached out slowly, touching his hand. This time it wasn't for data. It was gentle. Real. Then let's run. The escape plan began at midnight. Valaya packed only what she needed. Her scanner, her translator, and a small silver cube that held her knowledge logs. Josh emptied his savings account. It wasn't much, but enough for tickets, food, and a rented transport. Their destination. Zone D9, a remote outpost city near the abandoned Mars Gate. A dead zone for tech signals. A perfect place to hide. They left quietly, no lights, no words. Only silence and the sound of Valaya's breathing as they walked side by side into the dark. At the transport station, Josh kept looking over his shoulder. Valaya stayed calm, but her hand never left his. Just as they reached the boarding gate, a sound froze them both. A high-pitched humming. Then a voice echoed behind them. Valaya of Revexa, halt! A galactic officer stepped out of the shadows. His armor gleamed and his weapon glowed bright blue. Josh moved in front of Valaya instinctively. She's not going with you. The officer raised his hand. You are interfering with a Class 3 scientific operation. Step aside, human. Valaya stepped forward. No. He is my chosen mate. I invoke human integration law. Section 12. The officer paused. That law was designed for emergencies. This is one, she said softly. If I return, I lose who I am. Josh didn't understand what law she was talking about, but he grabbed her hand tighter. The officer scanned them both with a blinking orb. Confirmed, he said. Emotional bond detected. Neural link forming. He stepped back. You have 3 cycles. Then she becomes Earth citizen. Until then you are watched. He turned and vanished into the shadows. 3 cycles. That's all they had. They boarded the transport and sat in silence as the vehicle left the station. Valaya leaned her head on Josh's shoulder for the first time without asking. He didn't. Move away. He placed his hand over hers. I didn't know aliens had hearts like ours, he whispered. I didn't know humans could make them beat this fast, she replied softly. They reached Zone D9 as the orange sun began to rise. The outpost was quiet, dusty, half-forgotten. Perfect. Their new life began in a tiny dome house with weak power and cracked walls. But Josh had never felt more alive. Valaya laughed when he struggled to light the stove. He smiled when she tried human dancing and tripped. They had nothing, except each other. One night, under the pale glow of Earth's second moon, Valaya held his face and asked, "Would you still care for me if I wasn't glowing?" Josh touched her cheek gently. "I care for you because you make me feel seen, not scanned, not measured, just seen." Her lips trembled. "Then I choose you." And for the first time, their kiss wasn't part of an experiment. It was part of a promise. But far away, in a dark council chamber, Elder Salna stared at a screen showing 2 figures under the moonlight. She whispered to the shadows, "We failed," to pull her back. "The human connection is stronger than expected." A deep voice replied, "Then prepare the last option." Salna turned, her eyes cold. "Erase them both." Josh woke up to the smell of burning metal. He ran into the small kitchen of their dusty dome shelter and found Valaya sitting on the floor, surrounded by strange alien tools. One wire sparked, another made a buzzing noise. In the middle of it, all was a round silver pod with blinking green lights. She looked up at him and smiled. "It's ready," she said. Josh rubbed his eyes. "What's ready?" "Our breeding ritual chamber." Josh nearly choked. "Wait, our what?" Valaya stood up, wiping her hands on her shirt. "You said I could learn the human way, but now it's time to combine methods. I created a hybrid chamber, safe, measurable, emotional." Josh backed up. "Valaya, I thought we were taking things slow." She tilted her head. "We have only 2 cycles left, and the council watches. If we are to prove this is a true bond, we must complete the union ritual." "Union ritual?" Josh blinked. "Do you mean, making a baby?" Valaya nodded seriously. "Or at least initiating the procedure. I have studied your films. I understand the steps." Josh's face turned red. "You watched Human Romance, movies to prepare?" She nodded again. "Yes, though some scenes were confusing. One involved whipped cream in a car." Josh covered his face with his hands. "Oh no." Later that evening, the ritual chamber turned out to be a tent, well, half a tent. The other half was alien tech, pulsing lights, floating scanners, and something that looked like a heartbeat visualizer. There were soft cushions, temperature, controls, and oddly enough, classical music playing in the background. Josh stood inside, blinking. "This isn't how humans do it." Valaya adjusted a glowing orb overhead. "It is the safest way to combine emotional and physical energy. If our bond is real, the chamber will glow purple. If not, then it's false." "Valaya," Josh said, "we don't need machines to tell us what's real." She turned to him slowly. "But I do. I need proof. I need to feel it, fully. Not for the council. For me." Josh's chest tightened. She wasn't cold anymore. She wasn't collecting data. She was scared. Scared of being wrong. Scared of losing what they had built. And for the first time, Josh realized, so was he. "Okay," he said, stepping closer. "Then let's do it your way. But no scanners during, you know." She gave a small smile. "Understood." They sat facing each other, hands touching. Valaya's skin was warm now, not icy like before. Her glow had softened, blending with the soft light around them. Josh looked into her eyes and saw curiosity. Yes, but also something new. Trust. "I don't want to be an assignment anymore," he whispered. "You're not," she replied, voice low. "You're the only one I chose." The chamber dimmed, and for a few seconds there was no sound but breathing and heartbeats. Josh leaned in. Their lips touched. Gently, carefully. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't science. It was real. Suddenly, the orb above them blinked bright purple. "Valaya," gasped. Josh looked up. "What's happening?" She touched her chest. "The bond, it's confirmed. The chamber recognizes emotional alignment." Josh smiled. "So, the machines believe in us?" She laughed. "They do now." But just as they held each other tighter, a loud beeping echoed through the tent. Valaya's scanner flashed red. "What is that?" Josh asked, standing up. Valaya picked up the device. "It's a genetic signal." She tapped the screen. A message popped up in alien text. She translated it aloud. "Warning. Fertilization pathway detected. Subject may be pregnant." Josh's jaw dropped. "What? We didn't even fully... how?" Valaya stared at him, eyes wide. "Your DNA must have adapted. Our species shares a high compatibility rate. I didn't expect this to happen without completion." Josh sat down hard. "You're saying you might be already?" Valaya nodded, slowly placing a hand on her belly. "It's only the first signal. We'll need confirmation. But if true, then the council will have no choice. They cannot erase a bonded pair carrying future life." Josh ran his hands through his hair. "Wow. I was just trying to show you human love. Now, we might be starting a family." Valia looked at him, her voice almost a whisper. "Are you afraid?" He looked at her. "Yes, but not of you. I'm afraid they'll still try to take you away." She stood and walked to him, placing his hand over hers. "Then we protect this together." But just as their fingers interlocked, a loud boom shook the dome. Outside, dust rose, lights flickered, and a shadow loomed over the hill. Josh rushed to the window. An armored ship had landed. Dark, silent, marked with the council's crest. Valaya's eyes narrowed. "They're early." Josh turned to her. "What do we do now?" She stepped toward the door. "We don't run this time. We show them what they cannot erase." The council ship stood, like a giant shadow over the quiet outpost. Its engines hummed low, vibrating the ground beneath Josh's feet. Valaya stood beside him, her face calm but her eyes filled with something unfamiliar. Fear. Josh whispered, "We need to hide. We can't let them take you." Valaya shook, her head. "If we run now, they'll mark you as a kidnapper. Then you'll be hunted too. We face them. Together." Josh stared at her. "Even if they erase your memories," she reached for his hand, "they can't erase what's already part of me." Before he could speak again, a beam of light shot down in front of their dome. From it emerged 3 council officers in silver, armor. Their helmets clicked as they removed them, revealing cold, sharp faces with glowing eyes. The one in front stepped forward. "Valaya of Revexa, you violated Genetic Law Section 13. Emotional attachment with a study subject is forbidden. Come now or face memory cleanse and dishonor." Josh stepped in front of her. "She's pregnant." All 3 officers paused. Valaya's eyes widened. "Josh, what are you doing?" "Stopping them," he said. "You said they couldn't touch bonded pairs with life forming, right?" Valaya stepped forward, her voice shaking. "It's only an early signal. I haven't confirmed it. But they don't know that," Josh whispered. The lead officer's expression changed. "Pregnancy has not been reported in your logs. We will scan for truth." A small orb floated from his belt and hovered in front of Valaya. It blinked, then beeped 3 times. A soft tone echoed. Life formation. Detected. Confirmation level. 42%. The officer narrowed his eyes. Inconclusive. A bond exists, but the child may not survive. Protocol requires full confirmation. Until then, Valaya must be isolated and tested. Josh gritted his teeth. You said bonded pairs aren't separated. True, the officer said, if the pregnancy reaches 80% viability. Until then, she is ours. Valaya's hand trembled. Josh looked at her, then at the officers. He stepped closer, eyes locked on the leader. Then take me too, Josh said. You want to test her? Fine. Test me with her. I won't leave her, sighed. The officers exchanged silent glances. Finally, the leader spoke. Fine, you will both come. But if this pregnancy fails, she will be wiped. And you will be forgotten. They were taken aboard the council ship. Cold halls. Bright lights, alien machines. Josh felt like a lab rat. His heart raced, not for himself, but for her. Valaya sat across from him in a white chamber, hooked up to scanners. Her skin had lost its glow again. She looked tired. He reached across the table and touched her hand. You okay? She nodded. Just scared. You never get scared. I do now. Silence filled the space between them. The machines hummed. The air smelled like metal and disinfectant. Then a soft sound broke the silence. Beep, beep, beep. Valaya's eyes widened. A new screen lit up beside her. The message blinked in alien script. Pregnancy viability, 63%. Emotional imprint, stable. Genetic match, unusual. High cross-species stability. Josh leaned forward. What does that mean? Valaya's voice shook. It means the child is surviving. Our bond is strengthening its form. One of the silent scientists behind the glass window turned to speak into a comm. Sir, this is not normal. No human has ever matched this well. The door opened. Elder Salna walked in. She looked older now. Her expression wasn't just cold. It was conflicted. She looked at Valaya. You've bonded deeply and fast. Valaya stood weakly. Because he didn't treat me like data. He treated me like I mattered. Salna looked at Josh. And you? Why would you offer your life for her? Josh answered without pause. Because I love her. Those words echoed louder than anything else in the room. Valaya's lips parted. She had never heard the word from him before. Not like that. Not spoken with certainty. Salna turned away. Love. A chemical reaction. That's all. Valaya stood tall. No, it's a choice, and I choose him. Salna stared at her. Then, finally, she sighed. If the child reaches 80% viability, the council will not interfere. Until then, you both stay here. Josh frowned. What about Earth? What about our home? Salna didn't answer. She walked out, leaving the door open behind her. That night, Josh and Valaya sat on the floor of their white room. She leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. I didn't think love would feel like this, she said softly. Josh smiled. Like what? Terrifying. And warm. He chuckled. Yeah, that sounds about right. Her hand slowly slid to her belly. If this child survives, it will be something the galaxy has never seen before. Josh kissed her temple. Half science, half chaos. Just like us. She laughed quietly. Outside the room, council scientists watched them on the monitors. One turned to the other. Should we report this to High Command? The second scientist shook her head. No, let them rest. For now, let love do its work. Time passed differently inside the council's biodome. There were no clocks, no windows. Just white lights and machines that hummed endlessly. Every hour, Valaya's blood was scanned. Every hour, Josh was asked questions about his thoughts, his feelings, his memories of the moment he kissed her. but nothing could measure what was truly growing between them. It wasn't just the child forming inside Valaya. It was something deeper, stronger, something no machine could explain. Josh sat on the edge of the soft white bed watching Valaya sleep. Her breathing was calm now, peaceful. In the beginning, she had been stiff, cold, a perfect scientist. Now she curled her fingers in her sleep, as if reaching for him, even in dreams. A soft knock sounded on the metal wall. A female council assistant entered, holding a glowing tablet. "We've reached 79.4% viability," she said quietly. "One more hour, and the child will be protected by galactic law." Josh stood. "What happens if it drops again?" The assistant looked down. "Then it's subject to termination, and your bond becomes invalid." Josh's stomach tightened. "She's not a bond, she's everything." The assistant paused, then whispered, "Then keep her heart steady." She left. Valaya woke to the sound of Josh humming. He had placed tiny human earphones near her, playing soft piano music, earth melodies she had once called inefficient. Now they made her smile. He looked down and grinned. "You're awake," she nodded. "Your face looks worried." "I always look like this," he joked. "You just never noticed." She slowly sat up, her hand resting on her belly. "Is it time?" He nodded. "Almost. 1 hour left." Valaya looked around. "They're watching us now." "Let them watch," Josh said. "This part, they'll never understand." She reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "I never thought I would find something worth fighting for. I only came to Earth to study." He smiled. "And now?" "I don't want to study anymore," she whispered. "I want to live." Josh leaned forward and touched his forehead to hers. "Then live with me. After this, let's leave the council. Leave all of it. You, me, and the baby." Valaya's eyes watered. "You would raise a child with an alien?" "With you," he said. "Always." Outside, Salna watched through the one-way screen. Her hands were tight behind her back. The lead scientist stepped beside her. "We're seeing emotional synchronization beyond normal limits. Their heartbeats match. Even their breath rates sync when they're together." Salna's voice was quiet. "What does it mean?" The scientist stared. "It means we were wrong. We always assumed cross-species love was weakness, but it's making them stronger." Salna didn't speak. Then the scanner beeped. "Tioin. Percent confirmed." The words blinked across the screen like a silent explosion. Inside the room, Valaya gasped. Josh looked at the wall. "What happened?" A council assistant ran in, smiling. "You did it," she said. "It's official. You're now recognized under Galactic Code 9 to 12. No one can separate you, not even High Council." Valaya stared at the assistant. "Then, we're free?" She nodded. "You and your mate and the child. No more tests, no more threats." Josh laughed and lifted Valaya into his arms. She giggled. Her laugh no longer robotic, no longer stiff. It was warm. Real. They held each other for a long time. A week later, Josh and Valaya stood on the landing pad. A ship waited for them, small, fast, ready to take them to a quiet planet where no one asked questions. Josh wore a simple jacket. Valaya wore human clothes now, jeans, a hoodie, and her smile. "You sure you want this life?" Josh asked, carrying a small bag. Valaya nodded. "I don't want to be a council biologist anymore. I want to grow vegetables, learn human cooking, try dancing again, but without falling this time." He chuckled. "That's a dangerous plan." She leaned into him. "Only if you promise to teach me slowly." They stepped into the ship together. Before the door closed, Salna appeared at the end of the platform. No guards, no weapons, just her. She looked at Valaya one last time. "You found something we couldn't," she said. "Something pure." Valaya bowed slightly. "Thank you for letting me keep it." Salna nodded. Don't come back, the galaxy doesn't understand you. Josh stepped forward. Then we'll build our own little galaxy. Salna smiled for the first time in decades, then she turned and walked away. Inside the ship, Vilaya placed her hand over her stomach again. The baby was real, the bond was real, and for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like an experiment. She felt human. Josh took her hand and whispered, "Ready for forever?" Vilaya kissed his cheek. "As long as it's with you."